BYD, the distributor of their electric cars here in Australia, has released its locations. The places where you'll take your car to get serviced, where you'll go to see a BYD electric car, to test drive one. And the list it's kind of strange because it's not really backed by population. It's actually just based on, well, I don't know actually. Hello my friends and welcome to the channel. Great to have you. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for supporting electric cars. The whole point of this channel, which is the electric revolution. Now, there's been a few people that have been saying I'm not a legit electric car fan, that I'm not the real deal, that I'm a faker. So if you're new to the channel, just want to let you know, yes, I have bought an EV. I'm waiting for it. It was meant to arrive this month. It's been delayed until next month, but hey, I'll get it soon. I've also got an EV right now that's actually on a flatbed truck coming down from Queensland to Victoria. I'm planning on using that purely for energy storage, and that's going to be supported by a 12 kilowatt solar array. And by the way, guys, I also bought an electric bike this year for myself and for my son, which I've used. It's been amazing. I absolutely loved it. I bought a Merida E160. Which has been a lot of fun. You know, it makes mountain biking a lot of fun. I did a 100-kilometer mountain bike race about 10 years ago called the Otway Odyssey. That thing was hell. That is not what you call fun. That is what you call absolute torture. But riding 100 kilometers on an electric mountain bike, actually, I would do that, and I think it would be a lot of fun. The other thing is that it actually enables kids to keep up with you. Because the torque on the bike is the same regardless of weight, it means my son, even though he's less than half my weight, he can easily catch up with me. In fact, he's quicker than me. So it makes it a lot of fun. The other thing you can do with them is ride them to work. I mean, really, if you had one of those instead of a car, you would save a heap of money. No registration, no insurance needed, no parking spaces needed. Charging the thing costs next to nothing. Wow, imagine the money you would save if you just, instead of having two cars, went to one car and an electric bike or an electric scooter. So that's what I recommend. Hopefully that's legit enough for you guys. I know most of you guys in the US don't have any problems with my legitimacy. I think it's just some of the Aussies here in Australia. But anyway, that's the way things go. A lot of Aussies are quite cynical. Fair enough, that's the culture here in Australia. So what's going on with BYD here in Australia? Well, as you know, I've ordered a BYD, so I will have to go and pick my car up from one of the two electric car pickup locations here in Australia. In Victoria, one of them is in Dandenong and the other one is in Brooklyn. Now, Dandenong and Brooklyn, they're interesting. I mean, I have no problems. I've been to Dandenong and Brooklyn many times, but they are kind of considered the gangster suburbs of Victoria. I kid you not. I'm not saying this for clickbait. I've lived here my whole life. And yeah, they really are kind of like gangster locations. It's sort of like saying Brooklyn in the US. I don't know, there's good areas in Brooklyn and there's areas that are not so great. And Dandenong is one of those areas that is perceived as being not so great. Brooklyn, similar kind of thing. But those are the two locations in Victoria. Now, strangely, even though we have a very similar size population to New South Wales actually has twice as many locations. They have 4 locations, and those are based in Cardiff, Castle Hill, Darlinghurst, and Sutherland. Now, I don't know a whole lot about those areas in New South Wales. Let me know in the comment sections below what you think of what are those areas like. I'm sure they're fine. To be honest, it doesn't really matter in terms of Victoria where the locations are. I'm sure it'll be fine to go there and I won't get robbed or anything like that. I'm not worried about that at all. Queensland, Indooroopilly and Robina, ACT, Australian Capital Territory, Canberra, that's the state's capital. Everyone forgets that it even exists, to be honest. It's sort of a place in the middle of nowhere. But it is a beautiful place surrounded by some very impressive mountains. South Australia is in Medindie, Tasmania in Hobart, Western Australia in West Perth, which is a really nice place of the world. Now, customers will pick up their cars from an Experience Centre location, not a My Car location, as had previously been the plan. Servicing, however, will be available at both Eagers and My Car locations. So there'll be lots of choices because there's My Car locations all around Australia. And even though not that many of them are trained right now to actually be able to service your electric car, so there's not many service technicians that have done the training to be able to do the servicing required on an EV, even though that's pretty much nothing. But there will be more and more over the next few months as more and more people go through the training courses that My Car are doing. And I'm assuming Eagers are doing something similar as well. Now, we don't have any warranty and servicing information really in full detail, and BYD says they'll release that shortly, hopefully before we pick up the cars. Anyhow, if you don't want to go and pick up your car in these gangster locations in Victoria, not that it's a big deal, it's really not, you can actually get the car delivered to you for a fee if you live more than 50 kilometers from an Eagers location. Now, BYD's vehicles have previously been offered in Australia, and Car Expert says that you may have taken a previous generation BYD E6 taxi in Sydney, but the EV Direct led push of the new Atto 3 small to mid-sized electric SUV is the Chinese brand's biggest step here yet. Now, realistically, the E6 actually did sell, I believe, about 30 of those here in Australia. That's kind of like an MPV. It's a really cool car. Those guys who bought one, I know Paul from BYD Drive bought one of those. And kudos to him for stepping in and buying one of those, because he got one of those for 40,000 Australian dollars. It's about 28,000 US dollars for a car with a 60 kilowatt blade battery. And it's big. It's really big on the inside. It's probably as big as, like, saying a BMW X5 on the inside. 28,000, 27,000 US dollars for a car that size with a 60 kilowatt hour blade battery. Absolute bargain. So well done to those of you who bought those. But the E6s were only sold in very limited numbers. So really, the Atto 3 is the first true electric car delivered as a mass production vehicle from BYD to Australia and to New Zealand as well. So for those of you who are wondering how is this happening, because obviously BYD makes left-hand drive vehicles in China. Well, apparently the distributor here in Australia, Luke Todd, went to China and he helped set up a right-hand drive production line. So they're saying that there is an Australia and New Zealand production line in China that makes only cars for our countries, for Australia and New Zealand. Probably they'll make cars as well, I'd say, for the UK, because you guys have cars in right-hand drive as well, probably as well for South Africa, maybe Japan as well. So those markets, I'm going to guess BYD will target soon, but it depends on how much demand there is from Australia and New Zealand. Now, BYD have already delivered electric cars to New Zealand. People in New Zealand are already getting the Atto 3. They're going to get them before we do, which is pretty good news for them. The other good news for them is that they get an $8,000 reduction in the price, because that's an incentive in New Zealand. You get an $8,000 credit, which is amazing. I would love that. Please bring that here to Australia. That would be fantastic. And for those of you wondering, yes, here in Victoria where I am, we do get a $4,000 credit now. There was some confusion about that, but that's been sorted and fixed now. So that $4,000 reduction in price will apply to buyers of the Atto 3 here in Victoria. Now, for those of you wondering, BYD, they are and they aren't the world's biggest electric vehicle seller right now as of the first half of this year. The first 6 months of this year, BYD delivered a total of 638,000 electric and plug-in hybrid cars. Now, if you call them just electric cars, which I don't, then that makes them the biggest manufacturer of electric cars in the world. But if you judge them purely on their electric vehicle sales, which were 323,520, an increase of 237% versus the same period last year, which is insane, then that makes them the second biggest electric car company in the world, second only to Tesla. Now, could they overtake Tesla by the end of, say, next year? Absolutely. They're ramping up their electric vehicle production at an insane pace. When I get the BYD Atto 3, I'll be making a video straight away. I'll live stream it to the channel. You guys can have a look at it. I think the interior looks, to be honest, kind of whacked, but you know, who cares, right? It's not the main thing. There is a good media-sized media screen. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, will it have it? No, it won't. I'm hearing it will have it though in the third quarter of this year. Maybe fourth quarter, but it sounds like it will actually come to the car via an over-the-air software update. Just don't know exactly when. Heated seats. You've been asking about heated seats. Well, in BMW, you've got to pay a subscription fee. Apparently with the Atto 3, which is a pretty cheap car, they're free. Now, there was some confusion with this, but it looks as though, based on the deliveries of the Atto 3 in New Zealand, that yes, the Australian cars will have heated seats as well. One of my favorite things about the Atto 3 is the portrait touchscreen. Now, it's not just a portrait screen. It can either be a horizontal screen or a portrait screen. And I love the way it moves. It's kind of a cool, fun party trick. The other thing that I'm excited to see is karaoke. Now, I know Australians are not that into karaoke. I know you Asians are. That's awesome. But I want to get into it. You know what? Me and my boys sing some songs in the car. It'll be a lot of fun. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. And I'll see you again on the next video. Bye-bye.